Sean Marks, what are you doing? Sean Marks, what are you doing? Why isn't he signed yet? The guy was in your training center a day ago. He's the perfect fit for what you're looking for right now. Why isn't he signed yet?
Next door's common sense. Ned's common sense. Welcome back to Ned's common sense. Thank you for tuning into Ned's common sense.
All of you Nets fans obviously know exactly who I'm talking about. Today I'm talking about Payton Watson. He was seen and it was reported by a couple of people. It was everywhere on social media. Payton Watson was seen in the Brooklyn Nets HSS training center. Now, a lot of guys I saw on social media and on YouTube, they were like, "Is this all or nothing?" Now, I don't know. I don't know. It could be all. It could be nothing. At the end of the day, I want to see a reported contract offered, a formal contract offered to him. I dove in a little bit into the numbers, and one name that constantly came up when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets and free agency is Trey Murphy. Now, excuse me. I did a little bit of digging and I came back with the conclusion that it's not really worth moving on a Trey Murphy trade. Y- all of you will agree with me. I'm being conservative when I say it's going to take at the very least two first round picks and probably way more than that. I'm just being generous when I'm saying at least two first round picks on a pick swap for Trey Murphy. Now, when you go down the Nets roster and you go one by one, he's not going to replace Julius Randle for obvious reasons. He's not going to replace Day'Ron Sharp because he's not a center. And the Brooklyn Nets seem very, very locked on Day'Ron Sharp. They're very confident with him for obvious reasons that we're not going to dive into right now. He's not going to replace Jaeger Dioman or Michael Brown Jr. The only guy you're left with is a Michael Porter Jr. Now, when you look defensively, Trey Murphy Jr., his entire career, but I'm looking only at last year, he wasn't by any stretch of the imagination a better defender than Michael Porter Jr. Now, visually looking, you could see it's obvious, but even when you look further into the numbers, it's not. He's not by any means a better defender. Now he has certain attributes that he is better that makes him that makes him a leg on top of Michael Porter Jr. But then Michael Porter Jr. has other things that in his repertoire that Trey Murphy doesn't have. So when you talk about strictly defense, I invite you guys to look into the numbers. I don't want to be that type of show that sticks to talking about numbers the entire episode, but if you look into the numbers, trust me guys, I invite you to look into the numbers. He is not a better defender. He was actually a worse defender his entire career. So, and I still believe Michael Porter Jr. has more in the tank if he has good defenders around him. Last year he had Noah Clowney and Nick Claxton. And Nick Claxton, as if you look into the numbers, he was not a good defender last year at all. I know he had that moment where he was runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year, but that was years ago, guys. And if you look at last year, it was very stinky. I mentioned on previous episodes, we all felt like effort wasn't there. But I don't want to digress. I don't want this to become a complaining about other players. At the end of the line, if you eliminate defense, offensively, he's for sure not a better player than Michael Porter Jr. He's a wet three-point shooter, but Michael Porter Jr. does that in his sleep. He's a volume three-point shooter. You'll see last year what Michael Porter Jr. did for the Brooklyn Nets offensively. He's going to have things with Trey Murphy. He's going to have things that makes him look better at certain moments when he's explosive and he's athletic. Michael Porter Jr. isn't that type of player, but Michael Porter Jr. offensively is for sure a better all-around offensive player. He'll get you a bucket when you need a bucket more reliably than a Trey Murphy Jr. So on offense and on defense, Trey Murphy doesn't add any value on top of Michael Porter Jr. So when you consider that and he's the only guy that you would move him out of the lineup, I don't see it happening. Now, with well, if it wasn't free agency, it would be a different conversation. That's the biggest point that I'm trying to bring out. Now that we're talking about giving up draft capital, now an argument that a lot of Nets fans might make is, "Hey, come on, you have a lot of draft capital. When are you going to use it?" I'll tell you when you're going to use it. You're going to keep all your draft capital so you can get that top 5, top 10 player when he becomes available. Because nowadays, as you know, with free agency, it's the very different nowadays. Free agency is a thing of the past. Now the real big stars, they all get traded. It's the only way you acquire a star nowadays is by giving up a lot of draft capital and acquiring a disgruntled star. And it always comes up here or there. You don't know when the next big top 10 guy is going to become available, and you want to be a spot that is attractive. You want to be a spot that is somewhat competitive and a spot that has the capital, the draft capital to give up for a guy that is a disgruntled top 10 player. That's very basic strategy. However, when it comes to a Payton Watson, that's something that you don't have to give up any draft capital. That's something I'll entertain all day. The defensive numbers are there. Now, keep in mind, Payton Watson is a shorter guy than Trey Murphy. He is a much better defender. All the numbers show it. I mean, even the eye test, if you just watched him play last year when he got his opportunities, he's just very, very, very good defender and deflective and disruptive, and he is an opposing player's nightmare. However, my only concern is you're gonna have to give up you're gonna have to set one of the younger guys back to the bench. That's going to be either Yegor or Michael Brown Jr. And I guess you'll evaluate as practice ramps up, as preseason ramps up. I guess it's coach's job to make that decision. But I do think, and I'm pretty convinced after taking a deep, deep look into the numbers and to the highlights and evaluating our roster, I am convinced that bringing in a Payton Watson Jr. right now without giving up any draft capital is definitely the move to make. And, you'll have to maneuver a couple of contracts here or there, maybe a Trey Man Jr., Trey Man, maybe a Terrence Mann. I meant to say, I'm sorry. I meant to say a Terrence Mann, or somebody's going to have to get moved here or there. I don't know the details of it. That's Sean Marks' job, but it's also your job, Sean Marks, to bring in Payton Watson. We all want it. All the Nets fans want it. It makes basketball knowledge. I mean, it makes basketball logic. It makes sense, logically speaking. And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't see in the news very soon that we are offered a somewhat of around $120 million 4-year contract for Payton Watson. He's young. I see the upside offensively. Tremendous, tremendous, tremendous explosive athleticism. And his shooting is just going to fit right into the Brooklyn Nets roster. And it would be a big, big kind of moral push for the entire Nets fan base. It will give a lot of fans a reason to get their ass into seats. And it's just a basketball decision to make. It's the right basketball decision to make. Sean, I'm calling on you on behalf of all Nets fans to get it done. Bring him in. I want to see it. So that's gonna be it for now. And it'll make for a very, very nice cherry on the top of a decent off season, I would say. On a shrewd off season. Julius Randle. I mean, all those moves that he already made are moves that I want to talk about, because Mo Wagner is an underrated move, and I saw a couple of Nets pundits, Nets reporters, kind of shit on that move. And looking into the numbers, it's a very, very, very shrewd and smart move. The same goes with Keon Ellis. The same goes with obviously with Julius Randle, and with replacing Darren Sharp with Nick Claxton. There's a lot of sneaky things that a lot of sneaky moves that Sean Marks made that is going to make this team way more respectable next year. And I feel like a beautiful cherry on the top, the perfect cherry on the top, would be acquiring and bringing in a Payton Watson, which is Michael Porter Jr.'s close friend, and bringing him in without it costing you anything significantly. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, for tuning in. Please don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe. And I will very soon be back with another breakdown of this Brooklyn Nets off season. Thank you so much, and have a good rest of your day.
Next door's common sense, Nets common sense. Welcome back to Nets common sense. Thank you for tuning into Nets common sense.